Welcome to Resource Thursday. Our guest today is Nodeware. I'm your host, Rick Smith. This is the place for you to learn how to run your IT service business, whether you're a one-person shop or a bigger house leading the team for the journey. This is the place for you. My co-host, Paco Lebron, is out today. He's attending another Channel Pro conference in Chicago, I think it is today. He keeps busy, and he's always out there searching for information. So when he gets back, I'm sure we're going to have some great learnings to get from him again. Our guest today is Frank Raimondi. He's the Vice President of Channel Development at Nodeware. Welcome, Frank. How are you today?
Hey, thanks, Rick. Good morning. It's quite early here, so I'm still refreshing, but I'm good to go.
Well, we appreciate you joining us this early in the morning. Yeah, I know you're on West Coast time, but I appreciate you coming out.
You bet.
Before we get started with Frank and learn what's going on at Nodeware, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our upcoming event, TechCon Unplugged. TechCon Unplugged is September 16th to the 18th at the Hilton Rosemont Chicago O'Hare. There you will learn from like-minded business owners and panels and breakout sessions, gain key takeaways from partners and vendors in the space. And my favorite part is you get to experience that one-to-one spontaneous or those group conversations that occur in the hallway where we always say where the magic happens. Tickets are $2.99 and can be purchased at techconunplugged.com. We look forward to seeing you all there in September. Okay. Well, Frank, again,
Look forward to that event. So it sounds like a good event. So hopefully we'll.
Yeah, it's our annual, and we love it. Have a great time, and it's just it's as someone new to this side of the business with the MSP Unplugged, one of the TechCon Unplugged, which was called a couple other things prior, but it was actually the first conference I ever went to, and then is one I haven't missed since. And now I'm playing a major role in it. So,
there you go.
But Frank, again, I want to thank you for your time and getting up early in the morning with us to come talk to us today. So before we get started about Nodeware itself, can you give us a little background about yourself and how you got to Nodeware?
Yeah, so been around in the industry for way too many years, and otherwise I used to have hair when I started, and it was quite dark, but I been mostly on the vendor side of things. Worked with Apple Computer in the 80s into the 90s, and then worked at Intel Corporation for many years, and been around the channel activities and channel programs. At Intel, I created an alliance program, which ended up going worldwide and working with all kinds of ecosystem partners and vendors that were supporting the PC or supporting the development and the delivery of PCs and the services and software all around it. So I've always been in the mindset of how to put pieces together that the 1 + 1 = 3 kind of scenario, where there's value in the whether it's in a village or in a solution package, but working with helping people out. So I went from Intel. I was at Cenex for a stint, and then actually went back to Intel and continued rolling out in the channel activities, and did some sponsor management of events, and then about 6 years ago, actually, I left Intel again. Nice little early retirement, and I've been doing some consulting and doing different new stage developed companies, and sort of helping them on their channel developments, channel programs, partnering with MSPs and other resellers and retailers. And started working with Nodeware and the company IGI last year, and kind of a little part-time. And then we kind of realized, I kind of realized it was quite something there that was opportunistic and positive for the channel community and MSPs in particular. And so by December, we came on full-time, and been working on partner recruitment, partner development, distribution practices. We can describe a little bit about how we can get the product later, but so I've been involved with a number of different companies and different partnerships, and really enjoy working in the channel and helping both the MSPs get more out of the vendors, and the vendors get more out of MSPs and partners. So it's you can't have one without the other. So we got to realize that and appreciate it, and do the best we can with making those interactions better.
All right, sounds good. Wow, you've got an extensive resume, though. That's great.
Yeah, sometimes it's called too long. It's called being old.
Hey, no, it's called being experienced.
Okay, yeah, okay. I like your.
Hey, but Nodeware itself is, we know the name, but for those who are not familiar with it, can you give us a little background on what Nodeware is and what it does for the MSP community?
Sure. So the quick history though is interesting. So the IGI is the company was been around 20 plus years and is doing still pen tests for virtual executives or fractional executives on CISO services, CIO, and also incident response. And so they were using another product in the vulnerability management space, right, to do some ongoing monitoring of companies. But they realized it was an expensive sort of set of products that were out there, and they were very limited on when you could actually run the product, right, because of network bandwidth requirements and slowing down the company. So Nodeware was established with two primary goals in place. One was to be a low cost alternative, and also to be able to run continuously, right, not have to be scheduled, not have to be running down the business network during normal business hours because this program was running in the background. So they've accomplished both of those very well, and the product is very affordable for an MSP and for the end users as well that they're servicing, and it runs continuous, normal business hours, no scheduling. It just is happening in the background. Every minute the network is assessed for assets, and whether there's a new asset which can then produce alerts. It can fingerprint all those devices every few minutes, and then once a day, at least every asset on the network. And an asset is defined as an IP address. So every IP camera, VoIP phone, printer, server, network device, notebooks, etc., is an asset. Once a day, every single one of those assets is scanned for its vulnerabilities. Matching up against the database of new and existing CVEs that are out there, other resources of risk environments or risk factors, and we pull that in together and score each device. So you as the MSP can keep a constant eye on your customers' networks and their devices and their risk factor, which is, this vulnerability program is really becoming a more, requirement, whether it's a, compliance and auditing factors like HIPAA or other, regulatory types of practices, or if you're looking for new or to renew your cyber insurance, it's again a critical factor.
Okay. Now, the reports that it generates, the reports are done on a daily basis, or is this like an alerting as we pick up things that may be wrong or maybe vulnerable?
Kind of all of the above. So there are alerts that you can set up to go to email, to Slack channels, et cetera. If there's a new asset on the network, if there's a new vulnerability that's been discovered within the company or within your MSP's network of customers, we can send on basically the new new alerts and new vulnerabilities. And one other thing I'm blanking on right now, but anyway, those alerts can be distributed again in email and other things. So that's the one piece of the delivery, again, kind of real-time reports, or at least alerting. The reporting happens on demand or on scheduled. So you can go in anytime and run a report on the full network report. You can run an executive summary report. You could do a Log4j audit. You can do, there's 6 or 7 different reports that you can produce in PDF or HTML files. And at that point, you are, again, you can schedule them, or you can just say, hey, I need one right now. I need the latest data. Boom, click. Within a minute, you've got a new report in your platform.
Okay. I know that, some of us have some network, I'll call it network awareness software that we run that gives us some insight into what's going on in the network. Mm-hmm. And it sounds to me like yours takes it a step further than just right. the notification. Just the notification of here's what's in your network.
Right. Yeah. So we're actually, figuring very complementary with the Avix and the Augments and Domots and others in that there's some overlap in terms of a inventory count or inventory management to some degree, but what we provide is complementary to that is the scoring, right? Is the vulnerability scoring of those assets that they've found. So we're actually talking with all of those guys and sort of working out how to integrate in or to provide a complementary data set that they can integrate into their tool. We have a bunch of open APIs that integrations can happen, and for example, we've integrated with SOC Solder and with Security Studio and with Threat Advice, all kind of different, similar but different types of services. But they've fully integrated Nodeware into their offerings. So if you're one of those customers, you can get it, or in the case of like Security Studio, they do a lot of and Threat Advice as well. They do a lot of education focused work, and some different assessments and evaluations, and Nodeware is a key part of that delivery in that service. So yeah, so there was a long answer there, but the short answer to your question is we provide additional value, additional data that is relevant for the end user and for the MSP that's servicing them.
Okay. Now, as far as deployment goes, how is this deployed? Is this do we load a program in, or is it an app, or is there a box, or?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways. Historically, the product was delivered via an Intel NUC device, right? That was placed on the network. So it was a physical device that had the sensors loaded onto it and rallied onto it. And so that's still available, but what we've developed is a couple different ways that are kind of more current with today's environment. So one is network sensors. So we have a VMware, vSphere, and a Windows sensor that can go on any device onto the network and be executed on. So it could be on a switch, it could be on a virtual machine, a virtual server. And once that network sensor is deployed, it immediately is capturing assets and doing the fingerprints and doing the first scan. So that's sort of the first step to really get a feeling for the environment, because many times you'll see you're prospecting a new customer and they say, oh, we have 100 employees and we probably have 150 assets. And so the MSP at that point is guessing and assuming that's what's on the network and that they're, viable, up to date, whatever. So the sensor can go out and immediately, literally within an hour or two, be able to capture all the data. And then you can run a trial if you want for the 7 days and really get a feel for what's going on. But you'll get a very quick sense within an hour or two of what's on that network. So realistic, most times it's going to be 200 to 300 assets under the environment when you really count everything, because we're counting again the IP phones, the cameras, the VoIP. Phones, everything. So it tends to be, and iPhones and Androids that come onto the Wi-Fi as well. So if those are coming onto the network, you want to know about them as well, right? They have
Right.
they can do various things. And so that's the network sensor, and then so that's for obviously for devices on-prem and connected in. But as we know, there's a lot of people that aren't working in the office today, right? And they're starting to come back.
That was my next question.
That's not the world of the future. So what we developed at the beginning of COVID was the agents be on Windows, Mac, PC, and Linux endpoints. So the combination and the agents can be deployed very simply via things such as through your RMF tool. You can push it out. You can just have your employees come. The employees come and execute the file. It's a very light data file. It's not a heavy application. So that combination of the sensors of everything sort of connected into the network, as well as the agents for devices that are out and about, that combination covers the company's inventory, right, of everything. And so all that data combined comes into the platform that we have, which is an MSP platform. It's a multi-tenant platform, so they can come in, they can look by customer, or they can look cumulatively across all their customers, and then they can go into each individual customer, see what alerts are there, see what kinds of services are might be needed. So all that is, again, it's real time, and then that's where the reports can come from, et cetera.
Okay. And I guess it's amazing when I'm going through this period now where, as we do QBRs and we start to explain to the customer or give them more data. We're pushing out the idea of giving customers more information, letting them know exactly what we're doing for them, what we're managing. As we run devices like this, it becomes amazing to see how many actual endpoints or
Oh yeah.
IPs are on a network. And it's usually, I'd say 20 to 25% more than what you had even thought about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we've had some MSPs that have run it internally for their own proof of concept, and they're like, "Oh, we forgot we had that server in the closet or that PC that was still running something." And so and sometimes there are devices on the network. Let's say it's a PC in the back of running a specialized, manufacturing facility, right? And it's got an old Windows 7 machine it's a specified app that's there. We can pick that up, but one of the things that we allow, or the tool you can program, is to kind of turn off devices, right? You know what it is, you've got it protected in other ways, and it has to be. And so it's almost like turning off a false positive, or if there's certain types of VoIP phones that you just don't want to count into your license count, then you can kind of turn them off or disable them from being scanned, right? It's your issue, your risk, but it's kind of a balancing between the cost and the reality of what devices you really want to be keeping an eye on.
Right. But it's great to be able to do that, but it's even more to be able to discover the things that you didn't know were there, because
exactly.
Those are usually where your holes are, and because you haven't realized that they're in front of you, that they exist basically.
Well, and the beauty of the normal business hours continuous scanning is that, right, CVEs and sort of new vulnerabilities are coming up hourly, minute by minute, right, or minimally daily. And so we capture all those new risks and problems that are out in the world, and we have them in the database. And so by us doing a regularly I wouldn't even say schedule, that's kind of a negative word, but a regular continuous scanning, right? Every device, there could be a new vulnerability that comes in at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, if the device is being scanned at 7 or 8 or whenever during the day, right, within 24 hours, you're going to know if your environment is impacted by that new vulnerability, right? And you'll know which device it is, and you'll know some remedy. One of the things that we take this to, and where we kind of do a little bit of the limiting of the services that we have. In the platform, you can drill down to an individual asset, and then you drill within that. You can see sometimes there's 5 vulnerabilities for that device. Sometimes there's 30 or 40, right? There could be a dozen highly vulnerable issues with that device. And so you can see each one. There's there's critical, there's high, there's medium and low, and then there's some information resources. But in the high and the critical in particular, we provide a description of what the problem is and some remedies, right? There's some of it might be just basic informational, other might be a more detailed script. Okay, if you want to take this Ubiquity device and really get rid of this thing, here's the script that you would take and utilize in your programs, and make sure you update those. And so it's kind of leaves it up to the MSP to do that, but the information is there, and that's kind of our stopping point, right? The service we provide gets you to that point to do the remediation, but you might have a path, you might have a discussion with your end user, right? It's up to you. We're allowing you to use the tools you're already using, and get the data into them, but practice the way you want to practice.
Right. You lead us to the water.
Yeah.
Don't drink it
for
to
drink.
Which makes sense, and it makes we have to be responsible on our end on how we take the data and how we apply it and what we do with it. But I just think again, the insight that you get, I think is critical, and right. As we as we are more and more focused on cybersecurity, more and more focused on protection and prevention, these things we just have to be aware, and it's when you look at all of the points, I guess you would say all of the points that we could be vulnerable, but so many in your mind you can watch at one time. So you know all of the things can help you.
Well, and, again, between the alerts that we send out, and you can send out if you want an alert on the new vulnerabilities, or whether a sensor is online or offline. That was the third one I was trying to remember before. Okay. And so those alerts can come into email, they come into a Slack channel. So and when you come into the platform, if there's a critical thing, there's a red triangle on that company that okay, that one's got some critical new news. I need to go and make sure I address that quickly. But yeah, the between that and the the regular reporting, you've got the data. And one of the sort of newer developments, we talked a little bit before about sort of the insurability of a company, right? Whether it's a new insurance, new cyber insurance, or a renewal, the insurance requirement companies are requiring a program, right? A vulnerability program, one, so that exactly what you have on your network, right? And so that's kind of where the network monitoring programs come in. But they also want to make sure that what's risky and what isn't, right? Where are you protecting yourself, and kind of to these reports standpoint in the the sharing of, for example, the executive summary report. You can look at that report and either you share it with your customer and they keep it in their logs for auditing purposes, or if nothing else, you're sharing with them that you're making progress towards your goal. Because then the executive summary, you might have a 907 score this month, but you can say, last month we were at 850 and we've done these things and now we're making progress. So you're continuously showing your value to your end user, which in some cases is hard to do, right? I mean, it's things work. And so, yeah, it's working because you're doing a lot of things, but they don't always see all those things that you're doing, right?
Exactly.
They don't understand that. Now you can have a quick report, say, hey, we're protecting your environment. And again, honestly, the first checkpoint of insurability is knowing what you've got and that you are, protecting it as well as you can.
Right.
And we help provide that.
Good. And it's just because we know insurances, they're coming. I'm not gonna say they're coming for us, but they're, and I'll be honest with you,
they don't like paying out, right? So they don't,
right. Exactly.
And protect yourself, which is a good thing.
Right. And I say you think about it, your rates have gone up, requirements have gone up. I've had, this year more than ever, and we knew it was coming, but I've had more clients come to me and say, hey, can you help me with this insurance sheet? Do we have these things? And it opens up an opportunity for us as MSPs to get some things in that need to get in. Right. But it also, I think in the long run, as long as it doesn't get out of hand, I think it becomes a help to us, because our goal in the end is to protect the client. So if we can follow these regulations, or I don't want to say requirements that they ask for, it only gets us a step closer to keeping them safe.
Right. And so we're, and to that point, right, we're working with companies like DataStream, right, is a new kind of a new provider in the broker of cyber insurance, and they're working with MSPs, right? They're attending the ASCII events and other programs and such. We're working with Assurance. We've done an integration with them, Cowbell Insurance. So it's the, from an MSP standpoint, right? You're getting the questions, you need to provide the service. You can't sell the insurance specifically, but you can refer to a broker or to other people that are providing services with specifically with the MSP in mind. So we're very invested in this. We actually run a regular set of webinars. We do sort of a public service educational webinar series, and we have one tomorrow. No, today. Sorry, today's Thursday. We have one today. Last week we did one on sort of how to increase your insurability. Right. So focused on end users, but we have a lot of great third-party guests that come on, and industry known people from NIST and from other insurance companies and all other kinds of services. If you go to nodeware.com/events, you can look at what's coming up, and also there's a YouTube channel where you can see all the past ones and some clips. So that's a great resource, and we actually provide it as a value to MSPs. If you wanted to create a custom URL for your company, You can promote it, and any of the leads and people that sign up using that URL will provide to you. So you have them as kind of as warm to hot leads. Hey, you attended the session yesterday. What'd you think? Can we help you? Blah blah blah. So it's a free service as a value add to our partners.
And that's pretty cool. That leads right into the next question about, is there the partner program? Do you guys have per se a MSP partner program?
We are just ready to finalize that at this point. It's not necessarily you have to do these 3 steps before you can even sell the product. It's just trying to provide some extra training and resources. We do have a partner page on kickpost.io, which is kind of instead of our portal. It's a better alternative, we think, for portal development. It's one spot where you can see multiple vendors. You can go on, find us there. And we are, again, developing the things, but we have tiered pricing, starting at 1,000 assets to 2,500 is another tier, and then 5,000. So we bring the pricing, make that affordable and scalable as your business grows with us. And we're one of the first questions we have, end users come to the site, and we'll talk to them, get them set up in a demo, and the first 3 times we talk to them, okay, who's your partner, who can we work with? If you don't have one, well, we've got a set of our partners that'll be integrated into our partner program. It just as a if you hit the right levels, then you'll be a referral partner for end users that come in, because we are doing, again, partly through these seminar series, but in general, some outreach that we do, the end users are coming in, and if they don't have a partner, we hand them over to either a national or regional partner, depending on where they're at.
Now, one I've question, and it's kind of the whole branding scenario. When these reports are run, and we have a way to give them to our client, are they brandable, or are they just
they're I mean, they're brandable if we produce them in PDF and in HTML. So if you need to download the HTML file and you can manipulate it there, you're welcome to put your logo on it. We don't flash it, Nodeware all over the place. It's pretty basic data. So basically just the data. So you can, if you've got Adobe Express or Adobe Editor, right, you can take the PDF and do what you need to do with it. So It's absolutely editable, and it should be, right. I mean, it's your value, it's your data that you're presenting to your customer. So we don't leave it as a perfectly open file, because it's sensitive data. You don't want to be messing with real data, right. but we want to make it presentable for you to your customers.
Right. Okay. Well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, Frank.
Well, no, we didn't. We if you want, Rick, I just wanted to sort of talk about the pricing model and the availability model. So today we're available through TD SYNNEX and through Telarus. Telarus is kind of more of an agent, sort of. We process it on the order on your behalf and can pay a commission. We also have an MSP version through them, and then TD SYNNEX has an annual SKU paid up front, or the annual SKU paid over 12 months. And at a lower volume level, let's say the cost is going to be about, the annual price probably $320, $325 for a block of 50 assets for a year. Okay. And if you take that down to the monthly per asset, it's about 50 cents per asset per month. It's kind of roughly where the starting point is. If you do the monthly purchase on it, or the monthly payment, it's about 65 cents per asset. So it's just the way that incentivizes you and us to buy it up front. And then again, the 1,000 asset SKUs start bringing those prices down. So again, very affordable. In some cases we have MSPs that just put the product into their security stack and don't even call it out as an added product, right, or an added service. We have other services that are available that are doing it, as an add-on item to what they're already providing, and they might charge, $2-3 per customer or per employee, just just so there's plenty of margin and you're, able to cover what you're doing. So, we think it's very affordable. The combination of the running continuously, normal business hours, the alerting, the agents as well. So you can protect, there's some products out there that don't have agents, that you are limited on what you can, what you're covering in the company, right? With ours, with the full scan, the regular scanning on the network, and that asset that's got an agent on it that could be remote. We even have applications of customers with executives that are working a lot from home. You can put an extra Windows sensor on the device, and now their home network is also identified and can be scanned. So, right, there's whether it's a kid coming in with a bad device or just access in, you want to, the MSP wants to know what their customer environments are, right? In some cases, if it's HIPAA or it's a finance or some other sensitive data, that you need to be careful that home network isn't breachable. Then we can cover all the way out to that extension.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. Now, do you guys offer a demo or a trial to people?
We do two versions of that. So we do a proof of concept with for 14 days for the company that you can run it as much as you need to on your own environment, and then we can load up, and from there, or once you're in production with us, we have a sort of unlimited free trials for your end user. So we've seen a lot of MSPs are using the trial, which is a 7-day trial, and you can run sensors and agents and deploy it as if it was full production. But what that allows you to do is really understand, again, kind of we were talking before, whether it might be 100 employees, but they say there's 150 assets. Really, you're finding 200 or you're finding 250. So it helps one on the count perspective, right, from an accurate count standpoint. But it also helps you identify before you take them on, how do you even want to take this customer on, right? How bad is their environment, right? There's some cases you just don't want to bring on. But at a minimum, right, you're understanding what their environment is. And again, within an hour or two, you've got all the data you need, right? And you've got 7 days to deal with it and work with the customer on it, or develop a proposal that covers your regular ongoing managed services, but also there might be some extra statement of work. Maybe it's some new servers, or maybe it's a transformation, whatever it might be you've discovered during that trial period. And now you can go back to the customer with a comprehensive proposal for ongoing services. We also want to do these 3 things. And then, once they're on, now again, back to the reporting and the value add, you're showing your progress and development with that customer. So it's, we think we provide a lot of value. We think, the MSPs that we've got in hand, like Nick McCourt with Integris, right? They're a national MSP now through acquisitions and through development. They're using Nodeware exclusively for their vulnerability scanning across all their entities. So there's some good momentum. We'd love to have all your listeners come join us.
Okay, we'll definitely put in the show notes some links so everyone can get some information on it. Yeah. But as we're heading towards the bottom of our time here, is there anything that you think we haven't addressed that you think it would be important for everyone to know?
No, I think we hit all the main points. I think it's worth a try, right? There are various products that do similar things, but I don't think there's any that do, the combination of the, continuous normal business hour scanning. We have a 3-question sort of thing that's kind of a sales approach to a customer about, do you know when assets can come onto your network? Do you know how risky they are? And do you have any IT staff in your business? And what we find is that it helps narrow down the MSP's sort of prospecting questions to those 3 things, and that becomes the starting point, right? I mean, I know many MSPs haven't really done sort of the cyber hygiene or really sort of figured out a program to help their customers get on the path. And we think Nodeware is a great starting point because it identifies. It sort of understands where the risks are, and it helps them continuously do that and provide reporting. So the MSP can then add on other services, but you got to know what what you've got. You got to know what the risks are, and then you got to develop the plan that addresses those risks and keeps them low ongoing.
Right.
And we think I think Nodeware is a great first step for doing all of that.
Okay. Now we are going to include in the show notes some links, but for anyone interested, how could they get in touch with you, or where would they go now to get information?
Yeah, the best easiest spot. I mean, they can of course reach out to me, Frank.Raimondi. That's RAIMONDI at IGICyberlabs.com. We can also go to nodeware.com/partner, and there's a simple form on there. Just fills out, you heard us on MSP Unplugged, and let us know your information, and we'll follow up and we'll schedule a demo. Seeing it and understanding it and asking questions, we'd love to. We do that all day long. We'd love to do it for all the listeners here. So that's nodeware.com is just the normal website, but partner/partner or /events is also a good way to hear. We do one of the other elements we do in there is a monthly peer Q&A. So we just have an open session for MSPs to come on, hosted by a couple of our existing MSPs, and they talk amongst themselves what they're finding, what they're using it for, and then other MSPs can come on and ask questions and just understand. And so we just love to have the dialogue, and otherwise we'll see. We'll be at ASCII in Boston if anybody happens to be there. If you are an ASCII member as well, check out our resource page, and you'll see our special promo that we have there for ASCII members. Just reach out. We'd love to just have a quick chat.
Okay, sounds good. Again, as I said a couple of times, but we definitely will have all the links down in the bottom of the under us on the bottom of the show notes, also on the Facebook page, and in the once the podcast gets released as well.
Great.
But once again, Frank, I want to thank you for coming and giving us some information on Nodeware. We appreciate your time today. Again, I know you had to get up early hours for it, but
that's right. I was always up. It's just a matter of whether I'm ready or not. But I was ready this morning, so we're good.
Okay,
so appreciate
cool.
it. Thank you to Rick, and thank you Paco as well for your support. We appreciate it.
Okay. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday. You can watch the video podcast on youtube.com/MSP Unplugged, or on Facebook, at facebook.com/MSP Unplugged. We need you to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to be notified when new episodes are available. You can also take us on the go with your favorite podcatcher app. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I want to thank everybody for listening. And we'll see you next time on MSP Unplugged.